Before we begin, our web streaming channel and Chill has a new show that covers up the history and the science behind hairstyling, which is going to be hosted by Bill Guy, the Science Nine. Anyways, on to the show.
Welcome intelligent life forms and also humans. Recorded on the 18th of March 2117, this is issue 6 of The Black Hole, where it don't matter if you're black or white.
It's been quite some time since our last issue came out, and
Thanks,
we apologize for being in a closet for so long.
Thanks, Marshall.
Let's head to the news from this week.
Fine. In international news, the new Stranger Things movie is out this week. Sadly, it is being sued for its entire concept of upside down. Sued specifically by Australia, bats, people doing handstands, that kiss from the first Spider-Man movie, and Mahindra Scorpios from Rohit Shetty films.
In other international news, a new Broadway musical was premiered this week revolving around Donald Trump, the first Missouri Secretary of America. While the New York Times calls it nothing less than a documentary about the nation supporting people who stood up and criticized the leader of the nation, Indian newspapers termed it unrealistic fiction.
Another Lego movie came out this week. Apparently, Lego Denzel Washington seems like he will finally win an Oscar this year.
Now for some news from the city. A new cult has emerged who believe in feminism, no thanks, I prefer gender equality, which has gained popularity over the other emerging cult, water, no thanks, I prefer H2O.
Also, on Wednesday, there was a civilized discussion held by the local citizens highlighting the importance of freedom of expression. After they went, the panelists were beaten up, while the people who liked it were sent to jail.
Residents of Bandra, good news. Government offices will now accept bright red shorts, tight v-neck t-shirts and an undercut as an alternative to your residence proof.
Oh, and also the Railway Ministry finally installed Wi-Fi on trains. Because why should people be the only ones hanging while on a train, right?
And also now people can watch their favorite HBO drama series in an even lower resolution than before.
Over a century after Nokia 3310 was released, BlackBerry 2 has followed their lead and relaunched the old BlackBerry Curve. Like why? What is the marketing strategy there?
Like what is the USP there?
Like what? Can't break this?
Like what? Mobiles to gift people waking up after a century-long coma?
Or mobile to gift people waking up after 90 years of coma if you really don't like them?
Like what? Mobiles for the Amish, especially the really technologically backward ones?
Like what? A mobile for you if you're really committed to the 2005 call, it wants its mobile back jokes?
Like why? A phone to put it into a box and write, all curves are beautiful except this one as your art school project?
Like why? To make a bold fashion choice with your mobile but the BlackBerry Bold isn't being relaunched yet, so you assume people won't understand the difference between a curve and a bold?
Like what? For people who got confused between BlackBerry Current and the current BlackBerry?
Or maybe if you want an obscure secure messenger that even the NSA won't tap into.
Like what?
Anyway, moving on to national news this week. India finally goes to international court over the conflict with the English over the Kohinoor diamond. As of today, various reports show that from a legal standpoint, India's chances at winning this are bleak. They're almost impossible.
Like wow, where are Salman Khan's lawyers when you really need them?
Also, in his address this week, our nation's Prime Minister urges us to recycle as much as our daily soaps do.
News reports show that a UFO was reported in India. People missed it because they were busy looking at the girls smoking next to the footpath.
Right. Moving on to some sports news. Musical chairs is now officially included in the Olympics. Experts say that India has great chances of going for the gold with this one, considering our leaders are obsessed with the chair.
This year marks the 110th anniversary of the first T20 World Cup.
ICC has arranged for a holographic screening of the iconic final between India and Pakistan.
But the public is unhappy. They also want ICC to have a holographic projection of the crowd screaming, Sachin, Sachin.
Now moving on to the classified section. Wanted.
Wanted, a social media app that doesn't copy the one thing Snapchat has. Wanted.
Wanted. Uncles who don't make adult jokes at the first opportunity they get. Wanted.
Wanted. A partner who doesn't eat the chocolatey bit at the end of a cornetto. Wanted.
Now, moving on to not wanted.
Not wanted. Elaichi in biryani, kadi patta in poha and pineapple in pizza. Not wanted.
Not wanted. Non-alcoholics who eat up your chakna. Not wanted.
Not wanted. Panwalas who don't know directions. Not wanted.
In other news, the government has reinstated the politically correct or the PC army, which has proven itself to be the most aggressive ISA that we choose to ignore.
George Orwell would be relieved to know that unlike in his dystopian novel 1984, words aren't being effaced entirely.
On the contrary, employing brevity nowadays is akin to trying to speak a foreign language. Some examples of words that need to be used instead of words that accurately describe a situation but are considered derogatory for the connotations we ascribe to them are as follows. Instead of saying fat,
We now have to use the term healthy.
instead of saying crazy,
We now have to say quirky.
and instead of saying no one's attracted to me,
We say I'm sapiosexual and I'm attracted to intelligence.
instead of saying liar,
We say believes in alternate facts.
instead of saying has grey hair,
We say his cells have shown to undergo gradual senescence.
and instead of saying dark skinned,
We say dusky. And speaking of dusky, it would only be fair to move on to our top story this week, which revolves around skin color. So as such, our first guest is Miss Kreema Laagoo, the chief lobbyist for the skincare company IndigOlay. Welcome, Miss Kreema.
Thank you for having me. I've gotten you all some free merchandise which has nothing to do with this interview.
So, Miss Kreema, as I understand it, your parent company has introduced a new line of skin creams called Despair and Lonely.
Yes, that would be correct.
So, how does it work exactly?
So, Mehrshad, as you know, people outside of planet Earth do not share the same skin color as yours. People
Yes.
on the original blue planet, the other Earth-like planet, for example, show a different melanin reaction suited for their solar system, which is why their skin color is blue.
Okay.
And we at IndigOlay are just trying to provide every individual in the solar system with the option of changing their skin color to blue.
But extensive research of your products, contrary to what your company employed researchers choose to reveal, the general scientific consensus is that tempering with melanin and melanin synthesis pathways leads to drastic long-term effects, including even skin cancer.
I mean, that is, we don't know that.
No, but
yet.
we do. I mean, not to get under your skin, but I would say we do. And despite the inherent risk that comes along with your creams, I don't seem to understand why people would actively choose to change or temper with their original skin color.
Because it's about self-acceptance, it's about trying something new, about discovering a new side to you. And I mean, people want that. There's a need for it. So we're just giving the people what they want. Despair and lonely for when you're not feeling blue.
But is it though? Is there a need? Could it just be that you're introducing both a demand for your products and then the product? Like your ads commercially exploit the insecurities of people with respect to their skin color. It's like one of those antivirus products. When you wouldn't make any money if people won't buy any of your products if it weren't for you manufacturing the virus itself.
First of all, that's a very strong accusation. I hope you don't mean to imply that we're the ones responsible for the insecurities of people, do you?
To be fair, it is your fare.
Well, in all fairness, we can't choose to be naive and dictate how products should or should not be marketed. We can, however, choose to sensitize or educate people on the insidious ways in which this works, but that's another issue.
I think you're diverting from the topic.
Fine, coming back to your question, are we introducing the demand and not just the product? That's a chicken and egg question. We are, however, giving you the opportunity to explore newer dimensions in different planetary systems which would agree with your cosmetic makeup. In fact, for some, our creams are actually a prerequisite when it comes to emigrating to a different planet, as Mr. Neil Oswald will tell you.
Which brings us to our second guest, Mr. Neil Oswald, the ambassador of the TOBP or the original blue planet here on Earth.
hello,
Mr. Neil, skin creams and products often get away by citing your immigration ethics as a purpose for their deterrent chemicals to be openly sold. Don't you think that your obvious prejudice against people with different skin color is what provides a basis for further insecurity?
Okay, so I just like to clear something beforehand. Whatever I say today, I say it on behalf of the original Blue Planet or TOBP, as y'all like to say it. I say it on behalf of the people. We took a stand. Unlike most planets. But intergalactic media blew that out of proportion. If you go to see, that is what is exactly what is happening with our statements.
But your immigrant policies and racial discrimination, you clearly encourage people changing their skin color.
Yes, but that is only as a preemptive measure, don't you? Look, we need to ensure that there is no violence committed against a particular minority by a majority. And these conflicts usually arise out of xenophobic or jingoistic sentiments, you see. Look, no offense to diversity, okay. But there is safety in the known and familiar. Plus, we are the ones who took twinning to a whole new level.
Right, so instead of standing up for hate acts against people of diversity, your idea is to eliminate diversity.
Yes,
Makes
somewhat.
total sense.
Somewhat.
Wouldn't you be ignoring the roots from where they came from? I mean, no one is opposing strict immigration policies, but if you have to discriminate, it should be on the basis of merit, not skin color.
I understand, Mr. Mershad, that you are making sense. But this is a matter of planetary security. And we cannot compromise. See, we are responsible for so many people. In fact, I don't get why this is so alarming for you Earthlings. You all have a country that did the same back in 2017. A superpower, mind you, tried to deport illegal immigrants for lack of proper paperwork and identification. We're doing the same, only here we don't care for the paperwork. In fact, we actually want you to be one of us. Take this as an invitation if you must. Our planet heartily welcomes Earthlings. But yes, provided y'all change your skin color to blue.
So as I mentioned earlier, this is where Despair and Lonely can actually enable you to explore a new environment which may be far more liberating and provide you with way more opportunities that you may find on Earth.
But isn't it a little shocking, Mr. Neil Oswald, that for a planet that was discovered by Earthlings are the ones facing a ban from entering?
Okay, I have to admit that came right out of the blue. I choose not to comment. This discussion is over. Thank you for having me.
And also, if you will excuse me, now I have to go stare at cameras and remind people that as it says in scripture, we all have to pay for our skins.
One of the major disadvantages of skin creams is that it makes you thick-skinned.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not as much of a dermatological side effect, but rather a psychological one if you go to think about it, where you're actually defamiliarizing yourself from who you are or from where you belong.
Where you change yourself to feel accepted and discriminate against those who are secure in their skin and skin color, unless they aren't, and so on.
If you go to see the ads will tell you that there is some correlation between blueness and self-confidence, success, you name it.
Most hiring processes, matrimonial ads and casting calls are essentially unofficial Snow White remakes, where they ruminate on who's the fairest of them all.
Exactly, but listen, don't fall for any of that. Don't fall for anything that glorifies skin complexion.
Being fairer or bluer has nothing to do with success or self-confidence. Don't let stars go around publicizing fairness as a non-negotiable criteria for stardom.
Rajinikanth is still the biggest superstar I've known.
Or as an attractive trait.
Lord Krishna had 16,000 wives.
Or even have anything to do with greatness.
Ashoka is literally followed by two words, which happen to be the and great.
So we're not saying you should not be changing your skin color or that you shouldn't be traveling to the other blue planet.
But when you see an ad and when you pick up that skin cream,
just ask yourself a simple question.
Are you buying the product or are you buying the lie? And that's our show.
Also, this show wouldn't be possible without the two of us and Zora. So a thank you to you all.
And a thank you to you all too.
And also we are extremely grateful to the cast and crew of Last Week Tonight with Johnny Lever for letting us use their set.
And stay tuned after this for our celebrity cooking show, Cooking Bad with Chef Ali Khan, where in tonight's episode you will learn how to cook brownie rasam, vanilla chopsy and dhansak cheesecake.
Break